Hello, Susie.
I have the darndest time moving the mouse to get the microphone to show up so I can mute or unmute me.
I know.
You been doing okay?
So far, so good.
Excellent.
And you? Are you back in the swing of school?
Yeah, but I've been under the weather. It's not been a fun time.
Uh-oh.
I know. I'm bouncing back, though I have to. We're starting testing season. We're all crazy, and it really hadn't even kicked into full swing yet. That's not going to help, right?
Yuck.
Are we live, Mindy? Okay.
Yes.
Are we ready? Okay. I will call the work session for February the 2nd, 2021 to order. Some members of the city council may participate via telephone or video conference. A quorum may or may not be physically present in the city council chambers. Texas Government Code 551.127A-2. Citizens wishing to make comments should email mcparks80@gmail.com, mcparks80@gmail.com. Citizens' comments received prior to the meeting adjourned will be read to the council. So we're in discussion items. We're going to drop down to item number 6, which is swearing in ceremony for fire officers.
Thank you, Mayor. We have been blessed with having an opportunity to promote 2 of our own from within, and we wanted to make a formal process of pinning them here in the council chambers in front of you and all the citizens that are watching on YouTube. So if we may proceed, we will. Go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
as lieutenant of the City of Everman Fire Department,
as a lieutenant, City of Everman Fire Department,
and I will support and defend
and I will support and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States and the state of Texas.
the Constitution and laws of the United States.
I understand it is my duty
I understand my duty as a duty
to serve the people I swear to protect,
to serve the people I swear to protect,
safeguard, and preserve life,
safeguard, and preserve life,
health, and property against fire and other perils.
health, and property, and other perils.
I recognize the badge of my office
I recognize the badge of my office
as a symbol of public trust,
as a symbol of public trust,
faith in the fire department,
faith in the fire department,
and I accept, so long as I am true,
and I accept so long as I am true
to the ethics of the fire service
to the ethics of the fire department
and to the oath I take,
and the oath I take,
so help me God.
so help me God.
If whomever you've brought would like to step up and do the bad thing, where's your?
All right, yeah.
Who's spinning?
Oh, you, would you like to?
No, 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 go right ahead.
This ascot kills me.
She need a babysitter? She need a babysitter?
No, you're good. That's nice. Well, if you don't mind, once you draw blood, then you know you're going to be the one. Okay. Whoops, switching sides. Thank you. All right, all right. Congratulations, gentlemen.
You want to wear?
Just right on that tab. Yeah.
It's our opportunity to really take her age out. Yeah.
You try.
It's the bottom one doesn't want to go very much.
Yeah, you.
It'd be funny if you stabbed yourself and she didn't even stab.
Yeah. That last one. Yeah.
There we go.
I did something again.
All right.
All right.
Gentlemen, come over here real quick. Just need a few signatures. Let's see, this is Phil. Need your signature here. John here. And Chief, need your signature 4 times real quick.
You do realize it's a 25-year commitment, right?
There we go.
And if you want to have your wife and take a photo. John, you want to take a photo?
Thanks, sir. I'm not skipping it. I'm not skipping it, man. Congratulations. Phil? Here's your copy, man. There you go.
You want to take a photo with it? Didn't take a photo of them again?
That's these.
I'm done.
It's up to you if you guys want to stick around and see local government in action, or if you guys want to go grab some food, you can. Yes, you can. Yeah, it's okay. Bye.
Oh.
Okay, so we're going to go back up to item 1. It's Everman Fire Station and City Hall Annex.
First off, good evening, everybody. Hadn't got to see or talk to you guys in about a month. We've been pretty hard at work still on the fire station and City Hall Annex. We have gotten to a point now where we have executed the contracts for the build on both projects. Guaranteed max price is listed within both those contracts, which has come in right at or just a little under what we were anticipating when we pulled the bonds. With the passing of the tax notes, those numbers have lined up, and we feel comfortable with both the preliminary drawings as well as the cost estimates on the project. So really tonight, I just kind of wanted to address any questions that everybody may have. The phase that we are entering now is called the engineering and permitting phase. This means that the preliminary drawings and concepts are now being sent to the engineers for fully engineered drawn plans. We should have 3D renderings and final approvals after a couple more meetings, and expect to break ground on the fire station project right about March 1st. The fire station project will take approximately 4 months to complete, and either right at the end or near the end of completion of the fire station, they will begin breaking ground on the City Hall Annex project. And that project is expected to take roughly 7 months to complete. Our target for the City Hall Annex is to be completed by Christmas this coming year. So, any questions?
When do you think it will be demolished?
Which one?
The annex.
They'll start the demo pretty close to the end of completion of the fire station. They don't want to start that project until we're able to get a lot of the equipment out. The annex currently is being utilized to house a lot of the equipment that's normally inside the fire station. So we've got to get the fire station to what they call substantial completion before we can move things back out of the annex and into the fire station. And once it's moved out of the annex and back into the fire station, then we can demo the annex. So it will probably be June, I believe, is the target timeline for that.
Okay. I didn't know all that stuff was being housed in the annex. That's good.
Any other questions? All right. I like this meeting.
All right. Nobody has anything. We'll move on to the next item, which is the annual report and newsletter.
I know this has been a topic of discussion. It actually came up in another board. The library board brought up the newsletter as well. And we've talked about this kind of off and on several times. First off, one thing that we haven't done in the past, which is something that we're starting this year, is conducting an annual report, a citywide annual report. I feel not only is it important to have an annual report to keep the citizens apprised of what's going on and what's been happening in the city, it's also a good historical archive to have so we can reflect years later on exactly what happened when. It serves as a pretty good tool, and it keeps the citizens invested in what the city's doing and what city council's doing and where we're going. So it just kind of helps with that roadmap altogether. So we've been compiling this annual report. I expect to have it completed and distributed next week before the regular city council meeting. So you should receive a copy of it then. It is roughly going to be about 45, 50 pages long. It's a pretty lengthy report, but it is a magazine style report, very similar like what you would see a newsletter or something. And it talks about all the various departments and what the city's doing and the projects we have coming up, and really kind of keeps everybody in the loop. So we're going to start doing this annual report, and I expect to have it to city council in January or February of every year. Since we're doing the annual report, I don't necessarily think we need to be doing a newsletter at that same timeline, but we've gotten away from doing the newsletter altogether and wanted to get your input on going back to a quarterly style newsletter where we do the annual report in January. And then for the other 3 quarters, we have the newsletter that goes out. The newsletter currently is only being published to the website. We haven't sent the newsletter out with the water bill in quite some time. I've heard a lot of feedback about how residents do miss receiving that newsletter in the water bill. They're able to get something tangible in their hands and read it. They're not always checking the website to see when it's out. So there are some pros there. Here's the con. We did reach out to Data Pros to get the quote on how much it does cost to have that done. And for 1 page, black and white, double-sided, It's $270.80. Our newsletter, most recent newsletter back in November of 2019 was 7 pages, single-sided. So that would mean 4 pages, double-sided, which would come to a total of $1,083 every newsletter, roughly. We can try to consolidate our newsletter maybe down to 1 page front and back, but we wouldn't be hitting every single department every quarter. We could kind of hit the highlights of what's happening if we wanted to be more cost effective and try to target that 270. But again, I wanted to turn this back over to the council for discussion and let you guys discuss and tell us what you feel should be done or where we should go with the newsletter.
Are they the only company available?
Yes, ma'am, because that's who handles our billing, our water billing. The other option, which it would be a significant workload, but we could stuff envelopes and send them out ourselves based off our water billing mailing list. That would probably save us a few $100s each time, but it's going to take some time for somebody to stuff, 3,000 envelopes to mail them all out.
So what would that cost?
That would just cost us the stamp, paper, and ink that it takes to print them and mail them off. It's not going to
I would
cost us the
almost think that'd
$270.
be more than it would be to have them put it with the water bill.
I don't know that it would be more. I think it would be significantly less. I mean, you're talking 7 pages. I mean, probably 4, maybe 3, 4 reams of paper.
But what's postage? So we would pay 51 cents per house. That's $1,500, right?
Depending on what it weighs too, if it's more, need more pages.
If it's 51 cents, you're talking about sending out 3,000 copies, that's $1,500.
I thought it was going to be in the water bill.
They're looking at other ways to get it out to people.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would say the water bill is the best way. Everybody receives a water bill and we don't have to do extra postage and extra envelopes.
Right. I'm concerned that this is money we haven't budgeted. So
It is going to be money that we haven't budgeted. Yes.
That's correct.
So let me kick around. We could do the 1 pager, we don't have to do every department on the 3 or 2, however many quarterly newsletters we would have this fiscal year. And we could budget for the full one for next fiscal year. Just a thought.
Right. You mean do the quarterly one for this year and then we can budget for the full one next year?
Yes. Do the
Yeah,
quarterly 1 pager.
Right. Right.
Yes, yes.
I think since we're just starting, it would be a good start off to see how people are receptive to that, and definitely do the highlights of the city and the departments for sure. And then next year for sure, focus on what the feedback of people wanting that is going to be, what more information they would like to see on it. Then it would depend if we go with the longer or the full version of it.
The online version can be a little more in detail,
We could do that.
so that just add further details online.
That's what I was gonna say, maybe the online could be more detailed than just,
Right.
do the 1 page, send it out.
Well, and I just know in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mindy, but some of our departments would just put almost the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
in
they
that
do.
case, there's no need to
Yeah.
repeat it.
Yeah,
There's-
That's why I was thinking, if you tell them, she's having trouble getting them to do a report every 3 months. But if we came in and said, okay, you only got to do 2, 1 every 6 months,
Right.
they'd probably be a little bit more agreeable to that.
Yeah.
And
Probably would have more information and we use the repetitive.
yeah,
Or you could tell them, the specific month or the specific quarter they're going to have their department article in.
yeah.
And then, so you could just do fewer, but a little bit bigger, and you could give them a heads up when theirs was due.
Do specific department highlights. different-
Yes. So maybe they could have a little bit more space and fewer departments. And then the next newsletter, the ones who've already done their thing wouldn't have to do another article. And those that hadn't done one, they could put theirs in that quarter.
I think we need to continue with the quarterly, and if a department doesn't have anything, they just don't have anything.
Okay.
Is that what you were looking for, Craig, or?
Yeah, I just wanted to get the feedback and make sure council was in the loop and knew that if we did do this and we included it in the water bill, there was going to be some costs associated with it.
Yes, but not the 7-pager yet. We need to properly budget that.
I agree.
Craig, I just want to say thank you for bringing that back to the table. I know that Johnny has been asking for, after year and year for something like that for the citizens. So I'm very proud that if we can get something started again, at least, we're doing something back again to our community. So thanks for bringing that to the table.
Yes, ma'am.
I personally prefer paper anyway, so I'm liking this one.
Any more discussion on the newsletter? Or you got anything else on annual report, Greg?
I do not. No, sir.
Okay. Okay, then we'll move down to item 3. It's the annual Everman Police Department Racial Profiling Report.
Hopefully everybody was able to receive or review that attachment. The report has been uploaded to the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. It's also been uploaded onto our website in a couple of different fashions. I've been pretty big on transparency with the department and want to make sure that this information is out there. This is the report that was built by the Del Carmen consulting firm that are the racial profiling experts that we contracted with a couple of years ago. Really just wanted to give you an opportunity to review it and answer any specific questions that you might have about the report.
So you gave them the information?
Yes, ma'am. They conduct quarterly audits of all of our citations and traffic stops. And at the completion of the year, we send them all of the traffic stop data and contact data. They take that data and build this report with that data and conduct an analysis of that report compared to the motor vehicle studies that are done throughout the state.
How much does it cost the city to get that profile prepared?
I believe about 30, I'm shooting from the hip. It's about $3,500 for their consulting services.
Okay.
Is this required?
Yes.
Racial profiling reporting is required. The consultant service is not required, but I would strongly recommend it. I think it's highly important to have a third party analyzing our racial profiling data for the continuing transparency. And Del Carmen is considered the state expert on racial profiling. He's the one that the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement hires and brings in and contracts with when it comes to agencies that are not complying with the law. So he makes sure that we comply with the law and we do exactly what is required of us.
It's well worth the money, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And it was definitely budgeted, so we're good in that area as well.
Any other questions on the racial profiling report?
No.
Okay, so we'll drop down to item 4, proposal for allocation of brush 19 funds for special use.
And I'm gonna turn this one over to Landon, but you're gonna have to come up here, but
Some questions.
change the channel.
Okay, I know that he's probably included the attachment that has a now detailed breakdown of the costs that were going to be incurred.
Do you need it, Landon?
Huh?
Do you need it?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I was like actually pulling it up. I wanted to, like with everything else, just trying to be as transparent as possible and show you all exactly what our objectives are and our goals are. And at the end of the day, being cost conscious constantly is a big priority for me. We did have brush 19 and brush 219 that were both 2006 Fords that we have been incurring a large cost annually to get the preventative maintenance and repairs that will come along with a very, very old truck. Just because it doesn't have a whole lot of miles doesn't mean that just due to age and sitting and then the little wear and tear it has didn't have a lot of damage to it. So we decided that being that the Rescue 19 that we have wasn't really multi-use, it was more for a crash truck and personnel carrying. We thought that could be a way that we could adapt that design. It's very similar to Fort Worth Fire Department's attack vehicles that could be capable of fighting grass fires as well as chasing an ambulance and then as well as being a simple auto education. The more we looked into it, the more it became apparent that we could accomplish this. So we set out with a goal of the proceeds that we would need out of the sale of this brush truck so that we wouldn't incur any costs as a city. We wanted to come before the council and make sure that it would be okay if we would use those funds, because we did sell Brush 19 back in December to a department that it's being well used, and it's perfect for their needs. But we sold it for $43,000. I gave a broke down of the cost and whatever the individual project it would be. The first would is replacing the rear slide out tray with a pump and all the things required for grass firefighting. And then they're going to do some alterations to the powertrain and to the suspension to make it as safe as possible, but also as capable as we need for any kind of off-road and grass fires. And then the third thing would be to purchase some vehicle extrication tools. The extrication tools we currently have are very, very old and very, very outdated and antiquated. The most new is probably 8-9 years old, I think. And they don't have the capabilities of cutting most of the cars that are on the road today. We proved this about 2 years ago when we hosted a vehicle extrication course with Beards Automotive, where many of the cars that they had out there, our tools wouldn't cut through their post. And so that's a very scary thing whenever we're getting these rollovers out on our county roads and we can't cut the car apart. So this $43,000 would cover the replacement of those tools, which would also conserve space. That way we could fit it all within this truck. Some of the work would be done by our personnel. The other work would be done by Galtz Automotive here and supporting our local businesses as well. And it would be about a 2-month project, which would be perfect during the time that we do this station remodel, because then the vehicle will be out of there and being rebuilt. But all in all, it'll condense our preventative maintenance costs, because we've downsized from one costly vehicle and going to transfer one of our newest vehicles into a more cross-compatible and capable vehicles. So basically, I'm looking for a kind of a blessing to allocate those funds to this specific alteration of the vehicle.
You said we'd be doing some of the work in-house. What kind of work are we talking about?
The pulling out of the decommissioning of the tray, and because I don't want to take it down to Galtz and have them have to do all that work of pulling all the equipment off that we need. So there's a number of things that are coming off of the vehicle to make room for all the slide-in trays and the pump and the tank that we'll go ahead and do here. And I do foresee a more of an income and revenue from the sale of those items as well, because they're slightly, if not ever used. So the things that we do pull off of there, we'll still put into an auction. But we're going to do that part of it before it goes away. And then they'll do any of the suspension work and all of the wiring and plumbing of the pump. So that's all professionally done.
Yeah, pretty much the decommissioning of the vehicle would be done by the fire department, which is pretty similar to what we do with all of our police cars too.
I just want to make sure it's done correctly.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I don't want our guys coming and doing something and we have an ongoing expense for repairs because it wasn't done right the first time.
Yeah, we're not putting on the struts or installing something like that.
No.
So
Okay.
So the cost is 42,000.
42,000 and some change, just under 43.
Right. So does that cost include any labor that needs to be done?
Yes. In
the project.
With Galtz, I went down there and
Yeah.
him and I had a very lengthy conversation about this. He does have a couple individuals that are on his staff that have dealt with this style of modification. It is kind of a verbal, but he went extremely high side on his estimation, just to make sure that there's no way that we're going to go over. So there very well may be some savings still on top of this.
So you base that on the $6,000 amount in your
Yes.
total.
Yes.
and there's a couple other benefits here too. So just to kind of put this into perspective, we were getting to a point with our brush trucks that we were getting ready to have to come to council at some point to replace one of those brush trucks. We didn't want to do that because as we continue forward, Tarrant County is developing. We're seeing fewer and fewer wildland fires and seeing more and more structural type fires. So it would have been kind of a waste of funds to come back and ask to purchase another brush truck. We wouldn't have made the money off selling both those to cover the cost of a brand new brush truck. A brand new brush truck would have cost us pretty close to $250,000 to replace. So that's why we came up with this option of we needed a brush truck. We need something that's going to be reliable. He came up with this solution of converting the rescue truck into an attack truck that would satisfy both needs while consolidating vehicles down. And he's been able to pay for it pretty much with the equipment that we've already got. So there's no additional cost to the city.
Wash, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much a wash.
Sold this and then got this and then actually it's less than what,
Exactly.
yeah.
And we're upgrading.
Okay, while we're talking wash, let's look at the estimate page that he's included. What is that $61,840 total?
So this is from Advanced Rescue. He just added all of he gave me an estimate for every single tool that would be a possibility that we'd want to explore. I listed on the proposal the exact models that we would be using. And it's the one that is 9710, the very top one, the ES 100-28. And then also the cutter that would be the ESL CC-20-D. This is just what he gave me so that I had the pricing on all of the different variations of tools that they had.
Okay, I gotta tell you, I had a heart attack when I saw
Yeah.
$61,000.
No, we're only getting 2 of the tools that are listed on there. So no,
Number 3.
don't get me wrong. I would love to have all the tools because they're really awesome tools. But
Oh, Elizabeth is the big one. Okay.
What else were you gonna sell for that?
Yeah.
A kidney.
You said you sold this in December of for $43,000.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, was that added to the fire department account?
All proceeds go to general fund.
Okay, were we made aware of that at the
Not-
time?
Not until now, no ma'am.
Well, it's in the monthly financials, yes, that we received money. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my next question is the automobile that we got with the COVID money, could you have not spent that on this?
No, those funds, they had strict stipulations that what we could utilize those funds. And there's anything that's firefighting related that was not an acceptable admission.
Okay.
So, and this is an opportunity to get out of something that was costing us money and improve something that we've already got.
Yeah, the current rescue truck is only 3-4 years old.
It's a 2016.
16?
Mhm.
5, so it's coming up on 5 years old.
One of the newest we have in our fleet. So
Well, some cities tried to get away with doing that and they got caught on it too, using
Yeah.
COVID money.
Yeah.
yes,
It's not
They
allowed,
got
so.
rejected.
yes,
Shame.
which is
So-
part of what was
The only
our
thing it could have been
holdup.
used for was the paramedicine
Mhm.
that we
Right.
used it for.
Yes.
So. But as
No
far as,
fire trucks of any sort.
correct. Any other questions?
No, I think it's good.
Everybody good with that?
Yes, thank you.
So we'll
Yes.
we'll bring this back to you next week as a budget amendment. As a budget amendment? Okay.
Why is this just now coming to surface? I mean, we've got a lot of things that we've purchased were not in our budget. So this is an addition that's not in the budget. Why is this just now coming to surface?
I guess I'm not understanding the question. We didn't sell the brush truck until into the budget year. So
Right,
we
but
weren't going to bring this before council unless we had a way to make it happen without requesting additional funds from general fund over and above what the budget called for.
okay,
so
so were you thinking about selling it at the time we did the budget?
I don't think so. I don't think it was listed for sale until after budget was approved, but we couldn't have budgeted a revenue for this, I don't think at the time anyway.
No, because we didn't know how much we would actually make on the.
Right.
Nor how long it would take to sell.
Right. We were actually pleasantly surprised with how much we did make off of the truck.
Really? But did you tell us in December that you sold it?
Well, I didn't specifically mention that we sold it. However, it is reflected in the financials.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But did anybody say the words? We sold this truck for $43,000. Which,
Please
like you
don't,
said, was a surprise.
yeah, please don't take what I'm saying as disrespectful. I don't mean this disrespectful, but we have been selling and we frequently sell a lot of assets through auction that we get when we have those opportunities come up.
Oh, cool.
That's
Okay.
that's just a part of the asset procurement process. I mean, when we have, just like all the vehicles that we've purchased, when we went to the enterprise thing, we are regularly putting assets that we come across that are no longer in use. We're frequently putting those out for auction to try to recoup some of those costs that we are spending back out upgrading things.
Cool.
So it's just kind of a constant flowing issue.
Vehicles as.
I got you.
Do we have vehicles now that are set aside to go to auction at some
Yes, sir.
point?
Yes, we do have
That's
vehicles.
what's over by the old Boy Scout hut? Where was
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Yep.
We're-
15 more, I believe.
I'm working with Files right now to get the next auction ready. So.
Okay.
And- Yeah, and we also have, I mean, we've been auctioning off things like filing cabinets, copy equipment, computer equipment. This is something that we've never done before, whereas stuff would just either gather and collect dust or get so far dilapidated it wasn't worth anything and wind up in the trash. So we're trying to recoup some of those costs by selling those items back off.
It's excellent. It's
Now,
like recycling.
And if council would like, I can try to build some kind of report of what we do sell and when we sell it. If you guys would like that, we can try to come up with that method.
It's extra work.
Well, I mean, I could add that in my monthly update as well. So it's just what, it's just,
put it in the monthly, it's not,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to think that we weren't.
Yeah, no, it's not that,
Okay.
you know, it's money we're making, so we're going, yay.
yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Really?
It is revenue. I will make a note to add that
Yeah.
anytime we sell it.
Any other discussion?
Obsidian.
Okay, we'll drop down to the next item, item 5, mobile food vendors.
Yeah.
All right. I know this has been a topic of discussion too for a long time, and we've kind of bounced around on it, but we've never come to a final conclusion on where we're going to rest on mobile food vendors. Currently, our zoning ordinance does not allow them within any of our zones. It's not listed. That's why whenever we've had all of our special events, we've had to come back to city council and request variance for mobile food vending and food trucks. We have a fee set up to accept permits for mobile food trucks, but our zoning, it's not listed within. So our zoning doesn't permit it anywhere in any of our zones. We've had over the years several people that have come up and expressed interest in wanting to have mobile food vending within the city limits of Everman. I know that there's concerns about mobile food vendors all of a sudden flooding if we just kind of open the gates and we'll have food trucks all over the place. So wanted to start the discussion about possible regulations and maybe a possible plan. Code enforcement, Mindy and I have all been looking at various ordinances and gathering some ideas. I'm going to share my screen with you real quick. And one of the concepts that a lot of cities are using that I thought was actually a pretty good concept was having a food truck park, a designated area within the city that food trucks would be allowed and permitted to come in and operate. We would set the regulations for these. I'm sorry, I'm making sure my phone's on silent. We would set the regulations for these. The food trucks, the vendors would have to register with the city as any other business would. They would have to pass inspection, obtain a CO, obtain a permit, have their health permit. There's county regulations they would have to have as well. But it's a concept and an idea that might actually be an economic boost to the city. And I think it might draw something to the city that we haven't seen before. And aside from Old Town Burleson and downtown Fort Worth, I don't think you're going to find something like this anywhere immediately around us. So this is probably going to be fairly unique to our general area. The concept is pretty much charging them a set permit fee that they would come in. They would show proof of all their compliant documentation. They have their health certificates. They have their food handler's license. They have their sales tax certificate. Whether that sales tax certificate is displaying an address in Everman or not is up to the council to decide. There's pros and cons to each one of those. But we would essentially charge them an annual permit fee or a seasonal permit fee. For example, if we have somebody that just wants to come in and operate snow cone stand for 3 months out of the year, and they want to do it in our food truck park, they could pay a lesser fee for a 3-month stint. Or if we have somebody that wants to come in and operate a year-round food truck, they could pay the annual food truck permit. The location, of course, this thing would be right in the middle of the screen. There we go. The location idea that we've talked about, just in discussion, has been a couple of different ideas. The City of Everman Economic Development Board actually purchased some pieces of property a few years ago here on North Race, right across from Pittman Park. This is just one idea and one concept that I'd be willing to take before EDC and see what their recommendations are. The reason why I bring this piece of land up is because if you look at the flood hazard area, this piece of property is well within the floodway of that creek, which means it's going to take significant cost to comply with that flood zone right there if another development was to come in and try to develop. The other pieces of property that the EDC bought further north on Ray Street are not within that floodway, which means these are going to be easier for brick and mortar style businesses to come in and comply with flooding regulations and things. So these are probably going to be easier and more suitable for economic development of brick and mortar. This here, we're allowed to put any kind of park we want to inside of a floodway, including food truck parks, because they're not permanent facilities. The benefit here is that it would assist with attracting folks to our park. We're spending a lot of money within this part of town, the central part of town here. We've got a new city hall annex going in. We've been making park improvements. The Economic Development Board Corporation is currently in the process of putting in a memorial park on the north end. I mean, this is growing to really be kind of a central hub of Everman, and it's starting to kind of beautify. We don't have any businesses right here in this area, and we don't have any restaurants on this part of town. So this would be a one good option to kind of think about and potentially address. Another good option that we had talked about was the potential of doing something down around Johnson Park, where we also attract a lot of visitors to come in to visit our park. We have a little strip of land on this side of Dan Meyer, and we've got all this land out here around by the park. It's all just kind of a concept idea. The cost of the city would be coming in and improving the surface to satisfy parking of vehicles, placement of trash cans, cost of personnel to empty those trash cans on a regular basis, just like they would with the park. Those kinds of things. I don't recommend, at least at this time, that the city provides any sort of utilities. I would recommend that the food trucks that want to come in be supplied by their own power and their generators and so forth, or natural gas or propane, and kind of go from there. And it can develop into something bigger, or it may not take off at all. I don't know. But we do have interest in mobile food vending. This is just a discussion item right now. Before I started drafting an ordinance and having the attorneys work on an ordinance, I wanted to open up the table for discussion for everybody to kind of give their input and see which direction we were heading, so I can start putting together a good plan for you.
I like this. This has some potential to it.
Yes, it does.
The
I like
area,
it too.
the area you're referencing at Johnson Park, is that where the picnic tables and stuff are?
Yes. Yeah, there's a couple of picnic tables out here off of the Townley Drive that we just had repaved. There's a few picnic tables out here. We could come in, and we don't necessarily have to improve it with concrete. We could approve the parking lot with caliche, gravel, whatever city council wants to approve to do there. We could do either kind of a U-turn deal to where the trucks park along the U-turn, and maybe the center's all open grass, and we put a few picnic tables out there, maybe a couple umbrellas, that kind of thing. There's a lot of different ideas we can run with.
But Craig, are you talking about the park itself being on the other side of Dan Meyer?
It can be. There's a little strip of land. I don't know if you're able to see this track. This
Yes.
red track right here. This strip of land belongs to the city of Everman.
It's where the tennis courts used to be.
Yes.
And the T-ball field.
Yes.
We do own currently this little strip of land.
And
Which is the bigger space, across from Pittman or Johnson?
This Johnson is going to be the bigger space. if we're going to do it, it may not be a bad idea to set up 2 food parks. I don't know.
Say maybe both, yeah.
I'll have to look and see what the cost would be to get that back to you. But I mean, it's definitely an option. I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to be real expensive. I mean, we're talking about just improving the surface so it's not straight grass. You know, and I'm sure we can find a way to make that happen.
I like this idea. If we do open it up, I want this type of facility. I don't want food trucks all over our city.
Right,
And,
right.
you know,
Specific area.
that was
Okay.
happening before till we put a stop to it because
Right.
people were not enforcing what we had in place.
Right.
So this is the only way I would bite on it if we had the food court areas.
Not to mention how some of them can look if they're
Yeah.
not kept up. And
Well, it's easier for us to regulate them if they're
yeah,
all in one spot or 2 spots.
that's true. I mean, we have
Well-
several over in my neighborhood that park it in the driveway because they take them someplace, you know, and some of them I'm kind of going, oh, Lord.
Well, and we would obviously have to set out some rules. And I mean, I think some obvious rules would be no overnight parking. They're not gonna permanently leave a food truck there. They'll have to bring it in the mornings, take it in the evenings. We'll set certain hours. I mean, we'll be able to set some regulations with it to make sure it stays clean. But I
As
think
long as
for
they don't look trashy.
yeah, for some of these mobile vendors and the people pursuing the mobile vending, I mean, it's a great business model. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is. If you can find a prime location to do it in.
Mhm.
We have 2
Yeah.
parks that don't have any restaurants or any kind of businesses around them, that when we're trying to attract folks to our parks, when they come to our parks, now they'll have a restaurant to go and eat at while they're there. I think
Also,
I think it's a win-win.
Get something
Oh.
better for the summer.
Also the schools, if they're there during schools, you're going to have the teachers and the staff go get something from the food truck.
Absolutely.
Also, let's say we open one of the parks and we've got 6 trucks that sign up immediately. Is it going to be first come, first serve where you park, or are we going to let them get dibs on a specific spot?
We're going to have to set a cap number on how many permits we allow, and we will not be able to issue more permits than what we have spots for.
Correct.
And that's just because I don't want to start getting into any sort of legal debate of, well, I have a permit, but you guys aren't allowing me to come in and be on one of your spots. So if we could only fit, 4 food trucks here, and this is how many, this is the only park that we have, then we're only going to issue 4 permits for that year. And it's first come, first serve on obtaining those permits, but we're not going to issue more permits than what we have space to allow.
And I think
Right. But if you have 4 people with permits, and I like this one corner over here, but Bob keeps getting there first, that's what I'm saying.
We could address that. We could
Okay.
assign each one like each lot number.
They did
Right.
be assigned.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, just because you don't want people to start getting mad and throwing tomatoes at each other.
Showing up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get their prime
Yes.
spot too.
Yes. So that's just something to think of on way down the line.
Yeah, the hours.
I love this idea. I really love this idea.
I do too. We've needed it.
Yes.
Keep
Okay.
sending in my mind, trade days going on.
Well, if we keep it clean and make sure that they take care of their trucks, if your truck is ridden with rust, that might make me think your food might be riddled with rust. So, we can,
Well, and they would be regulated through the city. They would be eligible for inspection at any time, not just by city personnel, but by the health department as well. I mean, they would have to comply with all the same regulations that a restaurant would,
yeah.
especially cleanliness and everything else.
I would like to throw out there, the one that.
You're gonna have to come up here. They're not gonna hear you.
We can't hear him.
Just to throw it out there, the one in Fort Worth, it was actually over off University along Trinity. It was doing so well that they ended up, a company decided that they wanted to kind of trademark it, and they actually moved it indoors. There's a place off 7th Street now that is that they do have revolving, but it's like a little expo style food truck where they brought all their stuff inside, and it is very lucrative business for them because now they can harness all that and then put it into one large facility and rotate those food trucks through their individual little stalls, kind of like a trade day, but in a very organized and very professional fashion because it was so successful and it grew.
Yeah, my concern is like,
That's
I say,
excellent.
so long as they look nice and clean and
Yeah.
nicely painted, whatever, just so they're not just some,
So,
looks like.
yeah, a lot of the food truck parks are privately owned. This would be a city-owned one, which means that our parks crew would be responsible for the landscaping and the maintenance and the trash pickup. So I know the exterior of those would be well kept and maintained, just like our parks are. The food truck vendors themselves will have to regularly inspect and make sure that they're compliant with all those. Yeah.
But this way we could
Yeah.
do inspections and make sure they stay clean. It's not like the health department coming in.
Yeah.
They got so much to do, they can't go in and
Right.
regulate these
Right.
places.
Well, as long
We
as
can
they're
actually-
freshly painted and they look nice,
But see, I would like for them to be
clean.
paying sales taxes to the city of Everman.
Yes.
So
I'm seeing tax dollars.
So that's something we need to discuss here because I need to know what the council's viewpoint is on this. There's pros and cons to it. Pros are obviously sales tax revenues would come here. Cons is that's going to extremely limit the number of mobile food vendors we'll likely have registered for that. Just the pros and cons.
but do you think we'd have
okay with
people
either
come
one.
in and maybe go ahead and do their taxes with our city in order to have a food truck here?
Not a major company.
I don't know. Probably not the bigger ones. The ones I would worry about would be like Kona Ice probably wouldn't register for a permit here. If we had that, then they wouldn't want to change their sales tax. And they may be a vendor that would want to set up out there for a seasonal permit for the summer.
Well, could the permit be based on that? Could we have a local Everman tax paying, we got this dollar amount. If we don't,
We could
it's a separate dollar amount. It's a little bit higher amount.
Yeah, we could do that. So if it's an Everman business with a sales tax certificate come back to Everman, they get a pro rate, so to speak, and non-Everman businesses pay a higher fee. We could do that.
That way they still have the option to come
Let me
in.
rephrase. I think we can do that. I will ask the attorney,
Yeah,
but I think we can do
Let's
that.
check on it and see.
That's a thought.
That is a good thought.
Well, it seems only fair. I mean, they're selling their wares inside of Everman. We should be able to recoup some tax dollars somewhere.
Yeah, the thing that really pushes me and interests me is just the economic impact I think something like this could have on the community as a whole. So even though we may not collect sales tax from a food truck, they're going to stop at our convenience stores, our gas stations, and other places along the way, and it's going to attract them here more often. They come by, they maybe work at the school district or they work at one of the businesses around, they stop for lunch, they really enjoy it, they want to bring their family back later that evening. They're stopping off at our businesses, and I think it just kind of attracts more and pushes that economy further. I don't know how much, I don't think it's a huge impact that restaurants bring as far as sales tax, but I do like the 2-rate idea. I think that would be beneficial.
And I was just gonna say that we will be making money off of the permit fees and
Yes.
inspection fees and stuff like that. So we would be, gaining some from it too. that way.
We could have events to these. We could have events at the pavilions.
I was just fixing to say that.
Yes, I can see that.
Yes. We'll encourage more of these trucks. Like Linda was saying, if we have an event, here they are. They're already established.
Or
Right.
just some
Already
night
there.
band comes out and plays at the pavilion, and bring your lawn chair out and sit there and eat and drink.
Yes.
I mean, there's already people at the parks. They're at the basketball courts playing. They're on the playground. In the summer, it'd be really nice to have a snow cone or a sweet tea
Yes.
or whatever. Nice to have that option right there close. So you don't have to strap the kids back in the car, go down the road,
See, this be
Right.
something too with our events board, knowing that this is going to take place, if it's going to take place, then
Yes.
they can design events
around.
to utilize that as part of their event.
Yes.
So to bring in more people.
This is one of the best ideas you've come up with yet. I really like it.
I can't take, this isn't a me idea. This has been multiple people giving feedback and building it. So
No, this is the best idea y'all have come up with. I like this.
Pokemon.
Plus, this is community service stuff. we don't have this kind of thing. I really like this.
Well, Susan, I think you're gonna see a lot more of these things in the future. With the
Good.
direction we're going in, and we've finally got some really good movement in our city, heading in the right direction. So I think we're in for good times, personally.
I'm excited.
So
I wish
I've,
we could
I've been
see-
excited for a while, so.
I wish we could see some small chain restaurants come in on these vacant lots.
Oh.
Like next to Dollar General, a Dairy Queen, a Sonic.
So I think as we continue to push forward and we focus on fixing what's broke, I think the value and the interest will just kind of start to trickle in. I think it'll just kind of feed back on itself, and I think everybody will be pleasantly surprised with how that works.
Well, with all the Fort Worth developments coming in, and
Yeah.
we've got an increase in traffic that's using our streets,
Houses.
which is what they go by. So we're probably getting closer and closer to that on a daily basis. So it's just a matter of time before we start seeing those businesses come in.
Yep.
So
Are we pursuing some of these businesses?
I know Nicoletti has tried, and they wasn't interested because we don't have the traffic
Yeah.
flow that they're looking for.
Well, and right now, economic development is just practically at a standstill because of the pandemic. So there's just not a whole lot of businesses really out there looking to grab up some land right now. The big push federally is remote working. That's a big push right now. That hurts economic development when we don't have businesses that want to put together brick and mortar places. We're seeing more and more businesses go to virtual style work environments and getting away from brick and mortar style work environments. So we've got to kind of wait the pandemic out, let the economy recover a little bit, see if we can't allow some of these residential developments and things to build up around us, and see the business, the revenue for our businesses begin to improve within the city. And I think those opportunities will start to pop up with restaurants and things along our major thoroughfares.
Well, I received an article the other day. I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it out to everybody. Like Starbucks is looking at 10,000 new locations in the next 10 years. And it had all these places listed, they're going like gangbusters trying to add storefronts.
Oh, nice.
So it was pretty impressive. So,
That would be
I will-
okay.
but now's the time to do it. Interest rates are low. So,
Right. Yeah.
but I'll send that out to everybody so you can just kind of read it and just kind of see what's going on. So,
Yeah, they opened that one up in Burleson, out there off the freeway.
yeah.
Randy Valley.
Supposed to put a Jason's Deli over there too.
Yeah.
Last thing I heard. So, and Cheddar's.
They were getting a Costco.
What's that?
Costco.
Oh, are they?
Any other questions or any input about food trucks that we haven't discussed? Because I'm going to start working with the attorney on drafting an ordinance to present to you with the regulations and ideas on it.
Great.
We'll make sure everybody's got a chance.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Any other questions? Comments?
Not on that. Excellent job.
All right, so we'll close that. Next item's executive session pursuant to section 551.071, chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Council reserves the right to convene into executive sessions from time to time as deemed necessary during this meeting to receive advice from its attorney on any post-agenda item as permitted by law. Additionally, council may convene into executive session to discuss the following. Item A, pending or contemplated litigation or to seek the advice of the city attorney pursuant to section 551.071. Discussion regarding possible purchase, sale, exchange, lease, or value of real property pursuant to section 551.072. Item C, personnel matters pursuant to section 551.074. Personnel issues is listed as item 21056. So we will go into executive session. Everybody just hold on for a few minutes and